Hey everyone, welcome to this video. My name is Dave. I work for SoundLab, and SoundLab's a charity based in Scotland that gives music lessons for everyone for free, and it's an amazing charity. I love working with them, and I mainly do music production, teaching and videos like this one. Now in this one, I'm going to show you today how to build your first beats in Ableton Live. Yes! If you've not done anything to do with Ableton Live before, maybe check out my video before this one that gives you a good introduction of how it works, where the layout is, where you can get it, all that kind of stuff. But on this video, we're going to focus on making your first beats. So you might be thinking, Dave, what is the beat of the song and why do I want to do it? Well, in your track, in your songs, in any music, the beat, this is the rhythm that gives the song motion, propels it forward. In rock music, it'd be a drummer with a traditional drum kit. In world music, you might see some more traditional style drums. And in electronic music and hip hop, we'll end up using drum machines as well. And luckily for you, Ableton's got some drum machines built into it. Nice one. So you might think, well, Dave, what is a drum machine? Well, a drum machine is any device that can replicate what a drummer does. And what's cool about them is you can customize the sounds of them as well. And because a drummer's only got 2 legs and 2 arms, it can only do so much. Drum machines have a little bit more scope. They're not bound by physical limitations like that. So you might be able to do a bit more with a drum machine. Real drummers are great, but drum machines have their advantages as well. Now, to give you a little bit of an introduction to drum machines, you could rewind the clock as far back as maybe the late 30s, early 40s, when they were making organs people could play at home, kind of like a piano but an electric organ, and they had built-in rhythms you could jam along to. And that was kind of the earliest drum machines ever. From the organs, if you fast forward a little bit to the late 70s, that's when it really starts getting kicked off with the drum machines. For example, Roland make one of my all-time favorite drum machines, the CR78. This little box makes kind of cool disco sounds. Roland, that company, are famous for making some of the most famous drum machine sounds ever. Even if you don't know the drum machine, you'll have heard the sounds before. For example, in 1980, they put out the 808 drum machine. It's famous for its subby kick drum, its cool electronic cowbell, and kind of hats that have a lot of energy. Luckily for you, Ableton's got an emulation of that. Roland continued with things electronic into 1983, and that's when they released the 909 drum machine, more famous for kind of rapid hats, like that really punchy kick, and that is well famous in the techno and other electronic genres like that as well. So another cool company came around in 1980 called the Linn, and Linn is a guy called Robert Linn. His company released it, Linn M1 drum machine. Now this drum machine was the first one ever to use samples from a real drum kit. So recorded it, sampled it, put those samples in the drum machine, which was kind of cool. Prince is famous for using this one. If you've heard of Prince, the other SoundLab tutor, Keith, loves Prince. He uses these drum machines all over his productions, the Linn drums. And if you fast forward to the end of the 80s, talking of sampled drums that were recorded and put in the box, that's when MPC relaunched their range of famous drum machines called the MPCs, and they're more famous in hip hop production. So that's a little quick rundown of some of the most famous drum sounds and drum machines that you're going to get. Soon enough, you'll have your own favorites. It might sound weird just now, all these numbers, 808, all these letters, MPC, but as you get into it, you'll start to develop your memory for your favorite sounds, and you can even start customizing it and building your own one in Ableton. So that's what's so good about Ableton. It has loads of sounds of all these classic things that you've heard in music throughout your whole life. You're going to start learning about these sounds, start using these sounds, and building your own beats with them as well.
Everyone, I hope you've managed to open up Ableton Live, and it should look a little bit like this, which is a template set, just the standard set that's there when you open up. And what we want to do is start adding beats. Yes. So what do we want to do first is choose something called our drum rack, and I'll show you where they are. So if you look to the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see that little arrow there. If you click that, boom, remember that's your browser pane, showed you in the last video. And in there contains all the things you need for making tunes, including your drum rack. So if you look, I'll hover my mouse over where it says drums, you click on that, I'll click away on something else, click on drums, and appears here all the drum kits you can use, which is kind of cool. So in the introduction, I mentioned how you got classic drum kits like the 808, the 909, and CR78, all these classic drum kits. You've got emulations of them in here, which is great. So we can scroll down and try and find some of them. So you can see here, we've got the 808 core kit. If I click that, get a little preview of that on the go as well. So it gives you an idea what it sounds like, and you might even remember from like your famous songs, oh, I recognize some of those sounds. Let's try the 909. A little bit harder, more techno sounding. The 606, another emulation of our own classic drum machine. This one sounds a bit softer. It's like halfway between the 909 and the 808 almost. CR78, one of my favorites. Cool. And if you want to stop the preview playing, you click the little blue headphones there and then put it back on so you can preview other ones. That's how you preview the drum racks in Ableton Live. Let's choose one and start making a beat. One of my personal favorite drum machines ever is definitely the 808, so I'm going to choose that one. So all you have to do is drag and drop it onto a MIDI channel. Remember, audio channels won't let you put instruments on them. They're for clips of audio, clips of recordings, anything that's like a sound source, but not an instrument or a synth. So we want to put it on its own MIDI channel. And luckily there's one right here. So all I have to do is drag the 808 onto the MIDI channel here, let it go. You'll get the little ring, it'll load up, and it'll now rename channel 1 to 1 808 core kit. And also you can see down the bottom, this window's popped up here. Nice, it shows you the drum kit you just loaded on. Nice one. If you ever want to make that go away, just in case you do, just remember you have this bottom arrow here you can click that closes it and opens it as well. So that's you chosen your drum rack and popped it on to the MIDI channel. Nice one. The next up, you want to use your drum rack for creating a beat. Of course you do. So how are we going to do that? Well, we need to make a clip and then we'll put the drum beat into the clip. So to make a clip, you will put your mouse here, double click any gray area, these little boxes here in that column, and it'll open up a clip just like this window here. So where my mouse is, you can see the orange clip itself, and the bottom window, this big bit here, that's us looking into the clip, what is in that clip there. And it's called a MIDI clip because it's on a MIDI channel. Okay, so how do we make that into a beat though? Well, you can see down the left-hand side here, you've got all the names of what that drum kit can do. Like you got a kick drum, a rim shot, snare, clap, low tom, right up to the cowbell there. Cowbell 808 being one of my favorite sounds ever. Well, let's see what it sounds like by clicking the little headphones there. And when you click on them, you can preview what they sound like. Love that sound. Right down to the 808 kick. So you can click them just to get a preview of what they sound like. Now, once you've had your previews, it's good to switch that off, because if it's on whilst you're making your beat, it can sound a little bit confusing. So once you've previewed your sounds, maybe stick that off. And now we want to draw in one of the beats. Nice one. So normally if you're making electronic music, most people start with a kick drum, like, because that's what drives the music along. So we'll start by drawing that in, and we'll use this blank grid to do that. So you can see this whole line along the bottom, that's for the kick drum there, okay? And you can see how there's a gray area, light gray area, light gray. So separated chunks of time there, the beats in the bar. So I'll show you a basic drum pattern that I would do. Now, to draw in your drum pattern, you do need to enable the pen mode, which is easy. You press the letter B on your computer and you'll see the mouse changes to a little pen like that. Hit B again, goes back to the mouse, hit B again, boom, that's you in pen mode. So that's like you draw on the beat. So one thing I'll do is I'll start with first beat, put the kick there, draw in another one there, another one there, another one there. And you see it's like every 4 beats I've drawn a kick drum, which is pretty standard of how starting an electronic track, especially in sort of club music, pop music. So remember that when you're starting off, that's a good way to start with your kick drum, although later on you can develop it a little bit. Now you might want to hear, what does that sound like though? So if I click the play button, remember this clip up here that I told you about? And this grid down here is us looking into that clip. So we want to play that clip by hitting the little play button, and I'll loop round. Nice, quite a fast on this one. The kick drum's like, oh, really going for it. So another way to hit play or stop the beat is to use your space bar and just hit space and it'll stop. Hit space bar again, it'll go. Just like that, easy. Now you want to develop your beat a little bit, obviously. So what I'd recommend is drawing in some claps next. So everyone loves a good hand clap. And normally you can put them on the 3rd beat in the bar. So the bar is that grey area there. So 1, 2, 3, boom. Put it there, maybe there again. Then 1, 2, 3 from that kick. From that kick, 1, 2, 3, there. Hit play again, click that. Now, I'm sort of thinking that might actually be a little bit too much. So I'll take some of those claps out. Now to do that, it's super easy. You're in pen mode and you just click again on the one that's there and it makes it go away. And then hit play again. Let's see. That's a bit better. It's kind of less cluttered, quite like that. So sometimes you can do total maximal stuff, but sometimes it's good to break it down into basic elements and don't go too crazy with it. Next up, adding some hi-hats. So we'll go to the hi-hat option, hi-hat closed. And this is a cool trick. In pen mode, if you click there and just drag along with your mouse held down, that can just drag out a whole line of hi-hats like that, and that should sound quite good. Now, if you've had a real drum in before or watched a real drummer, normally with their hi-hats, they'll make the open sound as well. So the drum machine, it's good to add that. So maybe sometimes, maybe here, I'll take that one away by clicking on it, and I'll add the open hi-hat as well. And click play. Sounding all right, not too bad. You got a basic 808 beat there, and you can add in anything you want. Of course, I said my favorite sound in the 808 is it's cowbell. So look, if I click the blue dot, well, the gray dot now, make it blue with the headphones, just preview it again. That's the one I want. Make the previews go away, and I'll just stick in that little cowbell sound somewhere, maybe near the end on the last little bit, just there. I think that'll be a good place for that. Now you've got your basic beat built, you might think, oh, well, actually, if that's a bit slower, that'd be cool. That's a bit faster, that'd be cool. How you change that is if you go to the top left, you can see that little box there with a number. So that number is your tempo bit. And for your tempo, it's set 120 beats per minute now, which is pretty standard in a lot of pop and dance music. If you want to go faster, you're getting sort of techno levels. So if you click it and drag up like that, you can see the numbers going up. Maybe 127 is quite a classic sort of techno tempo. Let's hear that. A bit more energy, kind of like that. And if you drag it down, you can even make it sound a bit more hip hop. If we go all the way down to like maybe 95, a bit slower. So important control that, your tempo control, don't forget that. In music, you'll start to hear, if you listen carefully, that of course you'll get these repeated patterns, but the one we've got just now just sounds a bit too repetitive. If I hit play again, using the spacebar, sounds good for a little bit, but it might get a bit boring if you have it for a long time. So what we normally do is we've got like this 1 bar loop, and it might be cool to develop it. And a classic sort of loop length is 8 bars. It usually runs for 8 bars, little variations, and then goes back to the start. And that gives you a good kind of interest and flow to your beat using 8 bar loops rather than 1 bar loops. So how do we do it? Well, one good button to know is the duplicate loop button here. What that'll do is it'll duplicate your loop, like double it and make it exactly the same. And you can get your 8 bars sorted like that. So if you hit that duplicate loop, okay, that's just got 2 bars. Do it again, we've got 4 bars. Do it again, we've got 8 bars now. You can see it develop there, and you can see the length there. It tells you it's 8 bars down there. Now, these 8 bars are now all exactly the same as my first one. So what you want to do is go in and change things a little bit. Like maybe in bar 4 here, I might just want to add an extra clap in maybe about here. Okay, and you can experiment and play with it. Don't worry too much where it goes. Maybe in the start of the end of bar 4, maybe take out one of the kick drums and add in something different, like maybe like the rim shot there. Maybe at the start of bar 2, just add in an extra, like maybe add in some maracas, and then you can develop it like that, changing little bits all the way through, like even towards the end, I may add in a bit more of the hi-hats there as well using the pen tool. And if you hit play, that variation is going to help develop your beat and make it a bit more interesting. This one's okay, could do with more work, but hopefully you get the idea. Using the pen tool is a great way for drawing in your beats, but you might think, oh, you know, I've played a bit of drums or played an instrument before, I just have a bit of good rhythm, I just wish I could just like play in my beat like that. That's also possible, which is great. So all you have to do is go to the options menu, make sure you select computer MIDI keyboard as ticked and on, so that's great. Also, just quickly check, make this go away by hitting the arrow button. And then you want to make sure this button here, the arm button, is set to red. So click that. It'd be good to know that set to red. It means it's armed, it's ready to receive your information from your keyboard, tapping in a beat. Good to know that. That arms your track. So perfect to know. If you ever forget as well, oh, what is that bit? I don't know, remember. See this little arrow here? Pretty handy. You click that, ding, and it tells you what you're hovering your mouse over. So it's called info view. So if I hover my mouse over this little guy, it'll tell you MIDI editor preview button. You guys remember that from earlier. Hover over here, it tells you I can browse my drums here. Hover over that. Oh, it's a clip like before, nice one. So I'll make it go away just now, but it's great little hack to remember that in case you're forgetting things, because it can be pretty complicated when you're starting out. Now, like I said, we want to drum in as this is going. So what we might do is hit play. Your computer keyboard is enabled and use from A and W along the way, almost all those buttons on your keyboard, A and W, and then go horizontally along. We'll be able to play the drum machine. So that was me drumming in along with it, but didn't record it though. So that's lost. Whoa. So what I'll do to record it is you can use this little button here, which is the clip record button. Click that. Oh, here we go. So you can see I've drummed in a little bit of a pattern there on the toms, but it sounds a bit bad because my drumming isn't that great. So there's a way to sort that in Ableton, which is awesome. So once you've done that and it's in and it's kind of highlighted, right click, go to Quantize. Quantize makes it go and snaps everything to the grid, so it starts sounding nice and tight and on grid. Much better. So great to know that quantize setting as well. So that's it there. I'll show you again. So you right click, you go quantize, and it goes snaps it to the grid. Also, a good thing to note is if you hit B, you're back in arrow mode. You can always select things like that. You can hit delete them all. Done it by mistake. Control Z undoes that, brings them back as well, which is good to know. And if you can move them around, so if they're selected like that, I'll select maybe these guys here and hit up or down on my keyboard. You can change what it is. So right now that's a cowbell. You'll hear the cowbell go. If I bring it down, it's a cymbal now, or a conga, or a cymbal now. Back up. So that's good if you have a pattern you like, but you're actually like, oh, it might sound better as a cymbal rather than a cowbell. You select it like that, drag it down or up to the row you want. So we've got our 808 pattern that's sounding okay, but what if I want other sounds as well? So I'll minimize this one, clicking the arrow button down here, make that go away. And on the next MIDI channel, I think I may add some actually CR78, one of my favorites. Let's preview it again. I like it. It sounds old school, retro, like it's made of wood and metal. I like it. So I'm going to drag that into this MIDI channel here. And now we've got MIDI channel 2. It's loading up. And it should say 2 CR78 core kit. So that one's the 808. I'm going to turn off the arm on that one and turn on the arm on the CR78. Now if I hit play and then use my computer's keyboard like before, so what's great is using two drum machines together, you can add more textures to it. And in the same way, I can click here and you're straight into that yellow clip right there. That's you looking inside it. And you can, in the same way as before, add more beats in like this. Oh, one thing to remember though is hit the play button, which I forgot, so both clips are playing and looping. So everyone, you've got your drum beat you've made with maybe a couple of drum racks going, make it sound a little bit like this. But what if you could add some drum loops to that on top of it that might make it sound cool as well? So a good thing to do is if you go to your browser down the left-hand side, hit packs, you got your core library, which is Ableton's library of loads of sounds that it comes with. Open that. And what we want to do is go down to the samples, go down to loops. And in here, you got loops of electronic, hip hop, all sorts of loops. So if we go to, I don't know, let's try hip hop, maybe we've got some beats in here, like hit the preview button. That's pretty cool. So some of these might actually match your beat as well. So if you hit play on your one and hit the preview on that, it adds in the drum loop, previews it. What does it sound like with yours? And if you click the other one, it'll try it again. Love the 80s one. So what I'll do is that 80s one, 80s beat 90, I'm going to drag that into this audio channel here, hit play. Nice one. Now you can see one thing, I've got my audio channels running pretty hot here, the volume. So I'm going to make this go down. I'm actually going to drag this up, because having your volume channel set to like an appropriate thing is good. You can see how this one's even going in 4.45 over into the red. which is not great. It sounds digital, distortion. Yeah, you want to keep that below the red. So I'm just going to select these and bring them all down just a little bit like that. And hopefully that'll tame it a little bit. Much better. That's good to know too. So the reason I showed you building your drums first, like using the core kits like that, is because that's a way you can really get into building your own unique beats, and then using samples on top of them or along with them is a good way. Some people do produce music just dragging and dropping samples in, and that's that. And that's kind of like music production light. It's kind of okay to make music like that. It's cool. But if you want to really get into it, put your own stamp on it, creating beats using the drum racks and programming them in yourself will make you a better producer in the long run as well. But using samples in a creative way with the beats you've got can work magic as well. One last thing I want to show you guys before we run out of time is you might think, well, I've got a drum rack, cool. Oh, I've got like, my beat, that's cool. But what if I want to put in my own drum machine? I want to start making my own custom one. Well, you can do that as well. An easy way to get started is go to Create, Insert MIDI track. You've got your new MIDI track here, okay? And you want to go to Instruments, and you can use a special device called Impulse to add that in. So let's drag that in here, put it on the MIDI track, remember, not the audio. You've got Impulse, which is essentially a little blank drum machine you can put your own sounds into, which is cool. So if you go to your library on the left, hit Packs, go to your core library, and then open Samples. In here, you can find your drum samples, all different kinds, okay? Like kick drums, and you click on them. If the blue thing's on, you can get a little demo of what they sound like. And you can use your down and up arrows to scroll through them. All different samples. Loads of kick drums. 808 one's one of my favorites, but we used that already. So let's go for like, I don't know, that one there. Drag it into your Impulse. You drag it into one of these empty slots, hit play. There it is, okay, it's in there, which is cool. Also, we can maybe add in some other things, other sounds that like maybe didn't have before, like see what wood we've got. Oh, nice kind of clav sounds. Okay, I'll drag that in there as well. Just have a scroll through, see what takes your fancy. Cool cymbals as well. And then we can maybe hit in some effects as well. Ooh, cool. Drag that in. And we've already got 4 out of 8 slots filled. So let's open up our clip. Okay. Remember, you can hit preview to hear them. Okay. If we hit play, we can draw in. Now you've got your Impulse there with your own custom built drums in it as well, and you can even mess with them like this one here. I'll just hit the S button to solo the Impulse. Remember that, you'll only hear that now. And I'll click the Alienware one. That's that kind of weird sounding like dong dong. And we can do things like mess with it, like stretch it, transpose it. You just click these dials and you start messing with them like that. If you hit saturation, hit that button that says saturation, that's when you can distort it. Some things that can sound good on a kick, click the kick. Saturate that a little bit. Okay, and hear what it sounds like with the beat. Bit too loud though, so I'm going to bring it down. So a little recap, everyone. We have learned today using a bit about drum racks, programming beats into drum racks by drawing them or tapping them in using the keyboard. You can develop your beats by hitting duplicate loop and make them longer into 8-bar sequences. And then also you can add in drum samples, like loops of drums, added that. And then also you can even start to build your own drum kit or own drum rack using Impulse as well. So make some beats, and by the next video, hopefully you got some beats that we can add some bass to, because that's what's coming next. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
So everyone, hope you enjoyed that video today, learning more about beats, drum machines, and making your own beats in Ableton Live. This has been brought to you via the Sound Lab, based in Glasgow, a Scottish charity giving free music lessons for all. So check them out, they've got a website and more information there. And if you do need more of an overview of Ableton, remember you can check out my first video in the series on the YouTube channel that gives you a bit more of a broad introduction to Ableton as well. In our next video, we're going to be focusing on bass. How do you add bass to your beats? I can't wait to show you that. Thanks everyone, I'm Dave. Remember to hit like, subscribe, hit the bell ding notification button to get notified when new videos come out from Sound Lab as well. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy your beat making, everyone.